welcome to the Izola Bakery. We're going to do a behind the scenes kind of a live streaming narrative about what it takes to get a business off the ground, especially during this crazy time of COVID. And, we're going to be honest. I'm going to share my trials and tribulations. A little about me. I'm a photographer, and I have been a photographer for a long time, and I'm also interested in baking. So it's been pretty quiet on the photo front during COVID. So I'm actually am launching a bakery called Izola, Izola. You can check it out at izolabakery.com, and it has a very specific mission. It's focused on providing like two things, like amazing wild sourdough and croissants into the local neighborhood. Where I'm standing here in my photo studio, I can see out into the East Village of San Diego, and I want to put hot bread in people's mouths. As you can imagine, getting a business launch at this time is like maybe stupid, definitely crazy. Just dealing with everything from permitting. I was on the phone with the city getting my cottage food permit, which will allow me to legally produce bread and croissants in this home kitchen. And this is the kitchen in my loft space. And the idea being we'll bake up and just kind of continuously bake and get people to cruise by, and we can either lower something out the window or take it down to them, do curbside, and eventually spool up and do delivery. But the real goal for me is to get people to put that like hot, fresh, delicious food in people's mouths. So what we got going right now is we've got some leaven. We're gonna start some sourdough that'll bake tomorrow. I've got some leaven right here, and this leaven has been rocking and rolling since last night. So it's definitely what you would call mature. It smells a little vinegary. I'm a little bit late. You may be able to see it up on there. It's I do it 50% with whole wheat and all-purpose flour, so it's actually in pretty good shape. It lasts quite a long time. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna follow my little baking guide, which I'm bringing on the screen right now, and it shows you kind of what I do. And so if I zoom in here, so it's great big, so you can see it. So here we are. Let's say it's 2:30 p.m. right now. So we're getting ready to mix the leaven, and we're gonna basically wing it right here and skip that auto lease. We're gonna skip that auto lease section. I do it sometimes. I like to do it sometimes, like today. I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball. So yeah, like we'll see how this is going to go. So anyway, so we'll actually start with the auto lease and then go straight on. So I've got my big scale right here. Bring you to the overhead view here. I've got my nice big scale going, and I'm gonna just weigh this out exactly kind of and see kind of where we're at. One of the things that I've done, and I'll link you to this form in the comments, and this is a live spreadsheet, so you can actually like enter. So we're gonna see right here, we're gonna see like how much leaven do we actually have. So I'm gonna measure this right now, and so we can see it. I'm using my scale, and so now I'm just gonna measure out how much leaven, because that tells you essentially how much bread you can make. So here we go with that. Just going in and just popping it in there. And in an ideal world I would have done this 2 hours ago, but I also think sourdough is really forgiving, and so I just keep on trucking. I was doing some other stuff and didn't have time to mix it. So we are still shooting here, and just basically talking. So I spent some time today talking to clients and doing other stuff. Yeah, so there we go. We got that leaven on the scale right now, and I'm basically gonna mix it. I like these. This vessel right here is an 18 quart. This is an 18 quart Cambro 18 quart Cambro clear plastic mixing vessel, so I can mix 8 loaves in each one of these really quite easily. So I have about, and it's a little bit hard to see, but I have 1,035 grams of leaven in there right now. So it's just about exactly what I thought I would have. So as I'll take a look at that, I'm just clean this out just a little bit more here. Yeah, so pretty sweet, nice and clean. I can see, pretty chill. So with 1,000 grams of leaven, or with 1,035 grams of ripe leaven, 1,040. So I'll go right here to this sheet, and you can see we'll just enter like how much, and I'm going to link you guys to this in the comments so you can download a copy of this and use it for yourselves, you know, share it around, whatever. It's a legitimate live spreadsheet. So I can basically do 14.75 loaves, as you can see right there. So that spits it out, and I've got it set up so it will pull down into this bake schedule how much AP, whole wheat, H2O, and salt we use. And you can see my percentages here. So 100% flour, for those of you who are familiar with baker's percentages, it's all based against the 100%. So we use 90% of that 100% will be all-purpose, 10% will be whole wheat, 87% water, which is a high hydration. So it's going to be a pain in the butt to deal with, kind of just in terms of moving it around on the counter and all that, you know. And I use, basically, when we get to that step, I use the bench knife almost exclusively, you know. So just like, I barely touch it with my hands. Anyway, that's coming up. 17% leaven and 2% salt. So I just built the spreadsheet that just kind of back calculates. I essentially have 2 ways that I typically am approaching a bake, and one is like, I've sold 20 loaves, I need 20 loaves, and so I can put in there how many loaves I need, and it'll tell me how much leaven I need. Like, let's say I need 20 loaves, and it shows me that I need 1,400 grams of leaven. So I can plan my leaven so I can get it to that level, you know, through the night before, so it's ready to go in the morning. The other way is I'm just kind of messing around. You know, I mixed up some leaven the night before and see what it yields. So I measured it. We've got I enter that, and then it tells me how much total flour that I need. 5,400 grams of I'm using all-purpose, 608 grams of whole wheat, 5,291 grams of water, and 122 grams of salt, and that'll yield out 14.75 loaves. So it'd be like, you know, 15 loaves with one being a bit of a runt, you know, out there on the end. So all right, so basically we'll go back to the overhead view now, and what we can see here is I've got it in here. I'm going to split this. I can essentially do 8 of these. This is a 12 quart Cambro right there. You can see it. I know this just from experience. This will do, I can do 8 loaves comfortably in each one of those. So I'll split this out and put basically 520 grams of leaven in each. Wish I had a little camera I could show you guys the scale readouts, but I don't have one of those right now, so I'll just get one of these on here, and I'm basically just gonna cut this in half. So here comes half of that. I'm just gonna run this up to 520, 260, 300, 450, 460, 480, 516, I'm getting close, 521, there it is right there. And if you go over a little bit, you can, which I didn't, a little tiny bit, you can just sketch out a little bit, you know, and just pull it right out of there. So now I have 2 of these. I have this one here, and each one of these has 500, essentially 500 G in it, or at least it should. Let's see, we'll just measure that and make sure we're still good. Yeah, so it's a little bit short, so I'm just gonna take a little bit of Yeah, something like that. So they end up rounding out about 510 each. So, okay, cool. So now we're just going to go through this. Now we're going to go through this and just kind of mix up. So let me just get a little something to do with this. Grab a paper towel, and we'll be off and running. So the next thing, so we look down there, and so this already populated. So you just saw we put in 1040 grams 11. That gives us 14.75 loaves. All of this information automatically carries down into here. 5474, 608, 5291. So right now we'll go straight to this and we'll mix this up. So each one of these gets half of that. So we should, so 5474, I'm just going to do the math on the fly here on my iPhone. So 5474 divided by 2. Yeah. We'll go back to the overhead view. So each one gets 2737 flour. So I'll just tear that out to 0, and then I'll get the flour going. And I want a great big scooper for that. So let's see, put you guys back on 1 here. So just grab my big old scooper here, and I got the flour. So so 2737, here it comes. And you know, I just changed my mind. So let's do water first. So water is going to be 5291 divided. I like to mix the water first in there. I feel like it gives a better mix. 2645. So 2645 water. So there's 800. Go up some more. And I'm just gonna let this thing roll in real time, you know, so you guys see what it actually takes. And maybe I'll roll a second water so it can get filled at the same time while this first one's going. Yeah. So 2645 coming. There's 1500. There's 2200. And 20. 2645 right there. So that's 2645 water. We'll do another 2645. So there's 350. There's 1100. Yeah, and so, you know, it's a bit of a flurry of activity, and if we go back to, we can see this here. We can see exactly what we have to do. So 5291 divided by 2, that's how much each container gets, which is 2645 each. So that's 1950. This will do it right here. Yeah, so here we go. So 1950 up to 2645. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's not going to be enough. 4, 5, maybe. Just barely. Oh, barely made it. There it is, 2645. So I like to get in there. and I give it a good stir. I typically am using my hands a lot, which I just wash them up. Since we're in COVID days, let me just wash my hands one more time here. But essentially, we get this a nice, I just get a nice little mix. So all of those good yeast and bacteria are all mixed throughout, and then I'll do the same thing for number 2 here. And I like to just kind of scrape this off the sides, clean it up so we get a nice clean mix. Yeah, you can kind of see how it works from both angles here. Pretty easy, pretty cool. Yeah, pretty good. I like to just get it as clean as I can, otherwise it just gets dry and kind of crinkly, crunchy. And it's not mandatory to get everything off, but I like to distribute like the yeast and the everything throughout, so it's just easier to mix. Yeah, there we go. So that's that, looking pretty good. Now I'm gonna just start. My scale has a maximum capacity of 5 kg, so I can't mix. I'm gonna make bigger. By the time I add the flour to this, each one of these will weigh more than 5 kg. So I'm just going to go ahead and weigh the flour separately. Yeah, so I like to just set that there. And just clean up a little bit so it doesn't get super crazy. I mean, we're making what, 7 loaves, 14 loaves here. So it's not like super crazy, but it's a fair amount. Okay, so here we go. Pull that off to the side a little bit. You can see I did a homemade scale, my scale, and you'll see why. I actually measure the dough in here later, but this homemade scale, it works pretty good. So I just basically taped a pan on there so it would work. All right, so I think we'll do. Do this, and then I tear it out. So how much flour do we need? We need 5474 divided by 2, and I know that because I'm right here. So we got the water in, we got 5291 in, split between 2, and now we'll also get now we're going to move on to the AP all-purpose. I use all-purpose from Central Milling. I use a non-organic called Red Rose. You can order it straight from them. They're a great company out of Utah. It's fresh, it's inexpensive. It's like 20 bucks for 50 pounds. So pretty cool. If you want to try smaller, they sell fibers. Well, maybe they don't in the non-organic, but so anyway, so now we'll go back here. And we'll start with the flour right now. So I'm gonna get in here. So we're doing 5474 divided by 2, which is 2737 of flour in each one. So here we go, tear that out to 0, and I'm going to 2737. And you can divvy this up. I think it's worth saying, okay, so maybe you don't want to do so many loaves. If you just want to make one loaf, you can also use this sheet, to make one loaf. And I've measured those loaves at it. My loaves are 850 grams, which is a nice size for my baskets, but it's just kind of standard size. Yeah, so you can just enter sort of whatever you want to do, and use this thing. It just calculates based on this recipe. So 2737. So I'm going to say that's 2240, so I owe 500 still. So you can see here it's a boatload of flour, so I'm just putting it in parts. This bowl wasn't big enough, so I still owe 500 of flour. So I'll just give another 500. 33, so that's 330, and 170, 469, 500. So add that. So you can see here. So just to kind of give you perspective from side view, front view, you can see here we've got about half full. Can't tip it too much because the water will all run out. But that's sort of where we're at right now. And then I owe 27.37 in the other one. So we'll go ahead and get that done. So go 27.37 again. Yeah, so there's 550, 1100, 2500 or 1500, 2135. So now I owe 700 more for this one. 700. So there we go, 700 more. That's about 300. And there's 730, so I'll pull 30 back out. Just get it to the 700 mark. There it is, 700. So that's your 27.37. So now I've got our two with 27.37 each, right? So now I owe 10%. So just to kind of get us on track here, 54.74 divided by 2 because I'm going into 2 vessels. Now it's time for my whole wheat. I do that at a rate of 10%, which is 608 grams. So I'm going to just silence that. And I love these great big, I love these big things from Cambro. A great place to get this is webstaurant.com. You know, they're like 20 bucks or something, but they're awesome because you can put like, you know, 50-pound bag of flour in like 2 of them or something, maybe a little extra, but they're awesome. So I don't need much for this. So I'm going to go again. I'm going to go, let's see here. What am I doing here? I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So I'm going to go 608. I'm going to go 608 and then divide that into 2. So I need 304 in each. So 304 is not even a full 2 cups. So I just know that kind of from practice. So I'll go, here we go. I'll go 304. 297, 300, 2, 3, 4. There it is. So there's 304, and that's for bucket B. Reset the tare and go one more 304. So here we go, 304. I love cooking. It's 335 already, so I'll back it out. 310. 305, close enough. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. I keep some of my specialty flours down here. We'll talk about later, but these are essentially, I've got right here, I've got different ones. I've got bread flour with 10% rye. I use that in my starter. I use 100% rice flour for the bannetons, and then I've got my 100% all-purpose. It's just that. It's all-purpose. But as you can see, we hit that flour bucket pretty hard today, so I'm headed off to Specialty Produce, which is an amazing place to get stuff in San Diego. As soon as I mix this up, I'm gonna head over there and get settled with some. I'm gonna get. I think I'm gonna buy like 150 pounds of flour, and that'll last me. I'm gonna bake croissants, do some croissants later today, and get those ready to go for tomorrow, to bake tomorrow. Okay, so now I just wash my hands. I'm gonna step into the restroom to do this because I'm just working on my sink, but I'll be right back. So wash those hands. Yeah, there you go. Washing. One last time before I plunge my hands down in there. Excellent. All right, so here we go. Now I just dig right down in there, and I like doing it like this. You know, I just kind of sweep and scoop, and you know, each one of these is like 7 loaves right here. So. I may let this auto lease for like 30 minutes. We'll see that. Oh no, I won't. I've already got my starter, my leaven in. So this is off and going to the races here. And so we're actually going to be already like we're here at that 2:30 mark, hand mixing in the leaven. We sort of did steps 1 and 2 together this time. So you can see it's pretty gloppy. It's pretty gloppy, pretty funny. But all you want to do is mix it so you don't have any leftover, like any like clumps of flour and stuff, you know. So. And you might wonder, do I always dress like this? Well, I do a lot. I got sort of inspired. I went on a little trip to Paris before all this COVID business, and I got inspired like vintage shopping or in some of those used clothing shops there. And so, you know, I do dress like this a lot. I also, you'll see me when it gets really hot in a t-shirt too, but those days are to come still. Yeah, here we go. Feeling pretty good. I like this flour from Central Milling. It's nice. It's got a great smell and flavor. Reminds me of the prairies out in Kansas where I grew up. Pretty good there. And you can see the dough's all real raggedy. It's got like no strength at all. And just keep this in your mind. But you know, later today we're going to be able to stretch this like clear up here, like in another half an hour. So I'm going to pause the live stream for our breaks, obviously, but we'll see how this goes. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. So so that doesn't really matter. So, okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to do this second one here. So we've already, and that's one of the reasons that I mix that, you know, I mix the leaven right into the water. So I feel like that gives it immediate access to all the flour, you know. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what I think. Looks good, guys. Looks good. Yeah, it's kind of messy, but it also gives you kind of a workout too. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I just don't want any clumps of dry flour in there because they kind of turn into like rocks, you know. Like I can see a little bit of dry flour right there, so I'm just gonna reach back into that other one and like punch in there a little bit. So kind of my goal, I like to kind of standardize around 78 degrees sort of dough temp, you know, just to give me, you know, sort of one less variable to think about as I'm doing this. So, you know, so it's looking pretty good. Just take a peek at this, just. Yeah, see, there's still some dry down there, right in the very bottom in the center. So. Yeah. So that's kind of that. All right, so I do not see a scraper there right at that moment. Hopefully I got one here. Yes, I do. It's kind of clean me up. All right, so essentially I'm going to give this a half hour to rest, and then I'm going to add some salt to it. Yeah, so there's that. And got the hands all cleaned up. That's that. So you can see here, if we go back, you know, this is going to be our next step. We're going to do this in a half an hour. So I'm going to go back and just bail out of the live stream and come back with you, you know, once we're back with this. So here we go. And that'll be the end for this one. So I just want to thank you guys. Thanks everybody for getting on this first part. This is a sort of auto lease and leaven for a 14 loaf sourdough mix. So cheers. Can I pause? That's a question. Yeah, I think I want to end.